Is this thing on? Alright, so welcome to Cloth5. We are now partnered with Gold Gaming LA, so GG everyone, awesome. We did our introductions, Daniel, Lee, Lamond, Charlie Lipsy, Rick, Mango, Riley, and Adrian over in Montenegro. Good morning, guys.
Buenos dias.
Whoa. English, please. English.
No,
French.
French? Are you serious?
Spanish and English, please.
I don't speak European. What's wrong with you?
Oh my god.
American.
We need glasses. Hold on, I have my gunners. Hold on.
Gunners? Oh, I didn't even realize.
Alright, there we go. It's the glasses podcast. Here we go. Done.
Can I get better glasses?
Are we all fitting in now? This is great.
I'm getting better glasses. Hold on.
Alright, gentlemen.
I still don't like any of you, so.
Oh, well, that's great. And on that note.
Better glasses.
Well, good.
Good.
Dude! I like it.
Good.
We all have our drinks so we can have some kind of nice refined prop. Anyone? There we go. Charlie with his soda. Jesus.
That was
Yeah,
well
that's
done.
Alright.
You say drinks as if they're cocktails or something.
Well,
Yeah, I know. Everyone, quickly grab your margarita. Take a sip.
They're delightful. Alright, so we're going to talk about the Super Week that happened last week for EU and NA. And we're going to start off with the NA LCS and the games that we should all watch out for. What is that? Mango.
What?
God
I
damn
died.
it, Mango.
My cam froze. I saw it on the stream.
Oh my god.
Fired.
Oh
broke
my
everything.
god.
God damn
Now I
it.
can't even turn the damn thing back on.
This is
You know
why
what?
we don't
There we
have
go.
nice things.
No, there we go. Got it.
I bet it was Charlie that did it.
Yeah,
Probably.
right.
Somehow.
It's the soda.
Localized DDoS.
Localized.
I'm just getting blamed for everything from this point on.
Yeah, well,
Yeah,
duh.
pretty much.
Pretty much.
It's because of your
I'm too
glasses.
young to be blamed for everything, so
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
Too young. God.
too young to be
God.
blamed for everything.
His virgin years, everyone. Alright, so let's talk about the NA LCS and the Super Week that just happened. Did you guys watch those glorious 20 games?
Jesus.
Yeah.
Every
Yes.
single one of them.
Did you really? Every single one?
It's my job, kind of. My non-paying job, so yeah.
Yeah, wow.
It's a labor of love.
Dedication.
Yeah, right? Wow.
Yeah, I watched all 20 as well. I had to cover it for LCS Reporter.
Delightful. And
How was that?
so one of our notes is actually literally CLG why you suck. I think that was actually my note.
Excellent note.
Thank you. Thank you. I pondered over that one for many minutes. You're welcome. So let's talk about CLG and why they suck. Dude, CLG. Someone's Skyping to me and I can't really respond because it will mess up my chi.
Yeah. It's fucking Charlie again.
God damn it, Charlie.
Hey, censor yourself. This is PG-13.
God.
No,
They're
not on
failing
my,
hard
not on my
if this is
stream.
PG-13.
Everyone has to click an acknowledgement that there's going to be swearing, so we could swear.
Yep.
Oh,
It's
really?
good.
Yeah. Adult content, baby.
Does that
Oh
mean
my
we can
God.
stream naked on here too?
Please do.
Oh,
We'll get so many views.
Yeah.
there we go. Fixed it, I think.
Let's not.
Well,
Let's not.
I haven't done what I promised to do, so they'll be coming eventually.
Oh,
So back
God.
on track then. CLG, why you suck, or do you want to start out with damn Vulcan, you so freaking sexy with 5-0 this past weekend? They even beat Cloud9. Can we talk about that? Can we talk about that? Can we talk about that? And why
Can we talk about how Vulcan, you
Like
know,
5-0?
did exactly what I said and would bounce back?
You did
Yes.
actually call that, actually. Well done. Vulcan is OP.
Yep. Feels good to be right.
Revel in it, because it's the one time you get to be right.
Nah, this is the start of a beautiful thing.
So let's talk about Vulcan then. They beat Cloud9. They were the only team to do so this past Super Week. Anybody else?
Yeah, they still receive no mention for it. Which
Yeah.
is weird.
A mention.
Like,
Well, I
they
mean-
don't... Teams like TSM go like 4-0 and like everyone in chat's like freaking out. They're like, yeah, 4-1 TSM, they leave. And I'm like, well, good one. And then like
Bayleaf, isn't
CLG's...
that a Pokemon?
No, Bayleaf is
Bayleaf.
like... Yeah.
Oh, God.
I think it
and then
meant
like
Baylife.
CLG...
Oh, no.
CLG, no, they say Bayleaf because it's like a joke. Anyway, and then like CLG goes 4-1, and they're trying to get, and everyone's like, yeah, CLG, and then Vulcan goes 5-0, and everyone's like, Vulcan went 5-0?
So why
I
are
don't
they so
know,
underplayed? What is that? What's the deal with that?
We asked the same question on Reddit, I think, a few days ago, and everyone was like, I just don't like their players, which I think was interesting. But that's what I saw a
Really?
lot of, is that a lot of people had problems with Zuna.
Is it because he dropped out in the 9th grade and got away with it?
Wait, are you
That hurt my
serious? He did
Yeah,
that?
you didn't read his AMA, the AMA on
Yeah, he
Reddit?
dropped out in 9th grade.
9th grade, his mom was pissed at him, but he's like,
Yo.
look up, woman, and now look at him.
Wow.
I just don't know what it is about Vulcan specifically that seems to make their team just absolutely unlikable. Like even people like Velocity, or like people like GGU, or people like, or I guess it's Coast now. Like these Dignitas is a favorite, CLG is a favorite, like Cloud9 has its following, and then Vulcan's just kind of there.
Somebody in chat said that they think it's mainly that Vulcan players aren't as charismatic as the other players.
They just don't put themselves out there as much as the other teams. Like obviously TSM is out there.
I don't know about
because-
that. Have you
Do you
guys
know
seen
about that?
Psycho? Have you seen Psycho Sid twerk? It's pretty
Yeah,
damn nice.
that was actually amazing.
I have seen Psycho Sid twerk, and that was
Is-
pretty decent.
Okay, so he twerks, but does he sit there with 30,000 viewers, like plotting and scheming like Odd One does all the time? Like the reason TSM CLG, obviously they have the biggest following because they're the oldest ones, but they know how to entertain. Like I've watched some of Vulcan streams, and most of the time they're just like quiet with music, which is an unfortunate thing. They don't really know how to entertain with their streams. That's really
That's
the problem
true.
that they have.
But then why does it even matter when you're a good player? You're a good player, right? Isn't that the whole point? Or do you have to be charismatic to be a successful player?
You don't have to be charismatic to be a successful player. You have to be charismatic to be a popular player. I mean, there are plenty of people who are non-pros that have popular streams. Someone like Phantom Lord, for instance. People watch him because he's funny as shit. He just yells and screams all the time. People like that.
Go. And if you're a girl, doesn't matter what league or how good you are, you'll get streams. You'll get people to watch you.
Slowly but surely watching the numbers on our stream go up right now.
This is good.
Don't
The
look at it,
anticipation.
right? Don't watch the numbers. It's like, it'll drive you crazy. I do it all the time. So, okay, so then is it because ManCloud looks like a sad zombie? Like, I don't understand why Vulcan isn't... I mean, I think he's... whatever.
He looks like a sad zombie.
He kind of does. I think they're actually very charming in their own right on an individual level, but I can see how they're not as charismatic as, say, like TSM or even Cloud9 to some extent. And Cloud9's on the lower end.
That's true.
Though
Well, I mean-
they've just been around for a long time, which is what surprises me the most. Is that like they aren't a new team to the scene, like in any right, and so the fact that like the players just you don't have like a loyal following at all, they're doing something wrong. And Gnome knows it too. Gnome has said a few times like, why are we not as popular as other teams? And Gnome hasn't found out a reason or have found out a way to fix it yet.
Somebody in chat, Aaron actually says that you need something that sets you apart. Is there something that they could do that would set them apart? Because like they've been flying under the radar for quite some time. Like they've been around for a while, and they're a great team. They went 5-0. They beat
They are a
Cloud9,
great team,
right? Like they're
right?
so
They are a great.
they're so underrated. But you know, I guess the big feedback that we're all getting from them is that they need something that sets them apart. Like, do you have any suggestions on what set them apart besides like a strip video? Because we all know how that would work for people.
Well, I mean, Psycho Swid twerking. I mean, we could just get like ManCloud to strip. Like, it wouldn't.
I'd pay dollars for that.
Dollars, huh?
Like $2.
She does like $2 at the screen. We get it. No, the big reason is they've been around for a long time. I think what they need to do is they need to find a way to make their players more marketable. Like we already know, like we went through and did the All-Stars voting a few weeks back. I don't know if you guys saw that thread where it was like, if you guys had to vote on NA All-Stars right now, who would you vote? And then he had a Google Doc set up. And the #1 voted mid was ManCloud. Like, people know the guy is good. It's just
really
a matter of finding a way to market ManCloud as a good, likable player and him developing a personality. His stream is hilarious. If you have never watched ManCloud stream, you're missing out on one of the funniest League of Legends players I've ever met. And that's the problem.
But
is that people don't want.
I used to watch him whenever he streamed with Afro. Because Afro was always fun to watch.
Interesting.
Afro's hilarious as well.
Hey, there's Mango again. Awesome.
That's another that he isn't a pro player anymore, but Afro still brings in like 9 to 10,000 viewers every single time.
Does he
Well, same thing
really?
with Chaox. Yeah.
Yeah, they still bring in large amounts of players every single time they stream.
Wow.
Same thing with Trick 2G.
So then there's a
Yeah.
trick to it. Then there's the to get people
A trick to it.
a trick to it. Huh?
That was horrible.
I know.
I don't get.
That was
That was amazing. You liked it. So so why then? So then there's obviously something that Vulcan is missing in terms of PR. And that's kind of unfortunate, but at the same time, there is, like Gabe was saying in chat, there is something to be said for flying under the radar and playing a good game. So I'd be delighted to see them make it to Worlds just on that merit alone. I don't think that's going to happen, but you know.
the problem is they fly under the radar at like a fan level. Like at a fan level, they fly under the radar, and not many of us know who they are. We're not of us are big fans, like you said. We don't really watch their streams or pay attention or buy swag. But they don't fly under the radar on the professional scene. Like the pros know that Vulcan's amazing, and so they do scrims against them, they watch replays against them. Like the pros know and the fans don't, and I don't think that's where Vulcan wants to be. They want the pros to know and the fans to know, so that they can bring in additional revenue and land sponsorship and have fame.
Probably the other thing they need to work on is they don't really seem to have a schedule with their streams. They just show up and stream whenever, like in the middle of the night sometimes. Like TSM, when they were raking in like Odd1 and Dyrus, they'll stream in the middle of the day and rake in 30k viewers because like they'll be the only big name pro streaming. Like late night, you can look for like Saint Vicious will be streaming, and you'll have like early morning will be like
sometimes does.
Double F will be late night. Like early morning
uses
streamers
Azubu TV
usually
though?
like well, that's a different story entirely. But
Yeah,
early morning,
that's a whole other topic of conversation.
early morning, you don't even see a lot of pros. You just see a lot of the high elo players. You see like your Phantom Lords, your V-Man, your Hayam Gosu. That's the people you see in there. Oh, and Robert X. Lee. Like those are the people you'll see from like 4 to like 10 a.m. Because that's like none of the big pros are streaming then. They don't also seem to have a gimmick. Like when Saint streams, most of the time he's streaming with Jackie, and they're just like bantering all the time. Like they seem to lack a real gimmick to make people latch on to watching them stream. On top of not
that's
having
the thing.
schedule.
Like I largely think ManCloud is like next to like maybe Skara and Odd1, like one of the funniest streamers out there in terms of professional League of Legends players. Like I find Skara's humor hilarious. Not a lot of people do, and they don't think it's hilarious. I think he's fucking hilarious. I also think Odd1 is hilarious because he does some funny shit in all of his games, and that shit's hilarious.
But he's a gimmick though. He's an odd, like his name Odd1, like he really plays into that.
Yeah,
Right.
Like, when he's playing on
And
K, we can
Cloud,
see him
like-
going like,
Right.
Yeah, totally.
And-
Like he does weird things and it totally fits in. So keep going.
So like, what is ManCloud or Psycho Sid or Zuna or Bloodwater? What do they have to? What gimmick do they use?
Zuna yells. Everyone knows that. He yells really
Ninth
Right,
grade
but
education.
not a lot of people like that. After reading through some of the comments on why Vulcan was still so underrated, a lot of people said it was because of Zuna. Like, no offense to the guy, he's just not a likable personality.
He did a really awful. We had this conversation yesterday morning before we thought we were going to do our podcast. But he did a Skype interview with some guy in England. I can't remember the name of it, but it was on Reddit. And the guy was completely uninteractive. He kind of was like on his phone half the time, and he didn't make any eye contact. I mean, you could make eye contact through a webcam, so it looks like you're talking to your audience. But there was none of that going on in this interview. He seemed like he really didn't want. Exactly, Vango. Horrifying. But there was no interaction with the guy he was being interviewed, who was doing the interview, and it was just unpersonable. So I totally get why Zuna is having a hard time gaining followers. It's because he's just not like, eh. And people
He just comes across as very rough.
yeah.
He comes across as arrogant. His yelling is largely frowned upon by the community because I think it's very pretentious or rude. It's something that he does, and I'm not going to say one way or another. I don't particularly care for it, but there are people out there that love it. Jat loves it. I know shoutcasters love that energy. But for a lot of fans, they don't like that yelling because it seems like if you're going against one of their teams, like Cloud9 went against TSM, who's one of my more favorite teams out of the NA. And like, I love Cloud9 now. I mean, the players are hilarious. They're very humble. They understand that like we're not the best. Like we have a lot of practice to do. We are good in NA, but that doesn't really mean much in terms of world scene. And so like they understood. And then when players come in like Zuna and like they beat teams, and then they're like, man, I'm just gonna be we're the best. Like not really marketable because you're not like at all. Not even close. Korean teams are going to come in, and NA teams are going to get humbled once again. I just don't know how we fix that for Vulcan.
And that's a great segue. So moving on then. So from the Super Week in NA, we have some games to discuss, but we're coming up on Worlds, and the playoffs are starting to emerge, and so we're starting to see now the cream rising to the top. So the playoffs then, what's the standings? Can somebody break it down for us? NA.
Right, I guess I'll do it since I have the bracket like right in front of me.
Delightful.
Okay, so the first round is TSM versus CLG, and then in the lower bracket it's Curse versus Team Dig. And the winner of TSM versus CLG will go on face Vulcan, and then the winner of Curse versus Dig is going to go and face C9, and those two winners of those two games will be in the grand finals, and then we're also having a third place match and a relegation match as well.
Okay, so do we have any thoughts on how it's going to kind of shake up or shake down, as it were?
Does anyone want to make any predictions?
If current trends continue, which I believe they will, I'm pretty sure CLG is going to take TSM out. TSM is going to be in a rough spot then, because if I remember right, they haven't really fared well against Curse or Dignitas either this season. Actually, I think they played well against Dignitas. But either way, like, realistically,
Dignitas
TSM,
has actually, I think, been one of their harder ones.
Realistically, TSM could be facing relegation. Like, I would say more likely than not, they are the team that will be facing relegation. I think they'll lose to TSM, and I think they'll lose to the loser of Curse vs Dignitas, and I think they'll be in the tournament for relegation.
So we're getting a lot of people saying that Curse is going to beat Dig. Is there any reason why we would think that? I mean, they've turned it around during Super Week, but they've been really unstable this whole summer split. Why is there a reason to believe that they would beat Dig?
Well, they also have a winning record against Dig. I mean, they were 3-1 against them in the regular season so far.
Okay. So
Saint has this smite in about 24 days or something. There's a website for it that keeps track of it. I'm pretty sure it's the 24 or 25 days. So
that's funny.
That'll probably be a big reason to help. Like, Saint Vicious' play in general, not missing smites, giving kills to his laners instead of taking them himself, and realizing jungle can't carry in the current meta. It's not Season 1 anymore. Like, those are the kind of things that will help Curse win.
All right.
It was Curse, though, that took the jungle Nunu, right? And then sat top lane and D'd the entire time?
Was it?
Wasn't that Saint Vicious? I think it was.
Does he play Nunu?
I think that
Everyone
was the jungle
plays
Nunu.
Nunu.
I don't know.
All the old school junglers will play Nunu just because they remember how stupid he was Season 1. He's like almost the same level now, Season 3.
So let's see that. Go ahead.
But I mean, if that was him that picked Nunu and went top and just sat there, like even the casters were talking about how that wasn't smart, because Nunu's not really like a D lane jungler, and if they wanted to do something like that, they could have gone like Nasus or something that like benefits from sitting in lane. I just don't know how. I don't know how smart of a decision that was. Because here's the Nunu game. I think it was against TSM. That I just didn't know what exactly they were thinking when they grabbed Nunu and then sat top lane with him.
Yeah, like
That's
the
not
whole
really what
purpose of
Nunu was meant
Nunu
to do.
is shut down the enemy jungler, pretty much. Harass as much as you can, not sit and camp and gank or push lanes.
Right.
Yeah, but I think Curse looks really good overall. They're improving with their new support award. They just had a rough start. I believe Curse.
It's Curse Merce.
Curse
Believe.
Merce. Oh my god, Curse Merce.
Believe it's Curse Merce.
Well, with that Nissan deal now, they kind of have to win, right? No pressure, just don't suck. So moving on then, the EU LCS, what a super week they had. These poor guys. I mean, I don't know what time they stayed up their time, but I know I was watching, and I hardly ever watch EU because the schedule's so wonky. But I remember I was actually glued to it. It was very entertaining. But that last game, EG and Gambit, I believe it was.
Yep.
That game was cray. And EG versus Lemon Dogs. That's on our notes. Anybody want to talk about that? Let's go.
Yeah, EG versus Lemon Dogs was a good game. EG ended up taking the win, which was fantastic for me as an EG fan. I'm just fans of everybody. Every team is cool, which was great. I loved seeing EG. This Super Week was actually really great for them. They did fairly well, as did Gambit. Gambit did fairly well as well, which was weird from last week where they went 0-3. So the EU LCS was great. We had 6 additional games after this finished because of a 4-way tie for third.
Second through fifth.
Yeah. Which was great. My crew loved it. When I saw the 6-way tiebreaker, I was like, have fun with that one, guys, and then went to bed.
Very good.
They weren't very happy with me. But yeah, it was EG versus Lemon Dogs, I think, was a great game. Turned out very well. EG ended up taking the win. Good plays from everyone. EG's looking a lot more solid these days. And then those 6 additional tiebreaker games were killer.
They were great. Gambit poning bitches is actually a note. And they lost to EG that last game, which was great.
Right.
Because of why? Crepo and Froggen switching up Blitz and Anivia on everyone, was it?
Yeah.
Jesus.
Checking the if you actually look through, someone tweeted this morning that I was looking at. Crepo has a higher win rate on Anivia than Froggen does in solo queue.
Really?
He has a higher win rate.
Wow.
Which made me laugh.
Did you see that mid-air blitz hook that Crepo, Froggen did? Anyone catch that?
Yeah, it was on Aatrox, right? When he was about to cast Dark Flight.
That was so good.
As far as the Anivia stat, it's only because hasn't Froggen only played Anivia twice this split? I mean, it's not that big of a deal, but it still technically counts.
I think it was solo queue, unless it was in LCS.
No, they were talking about LCS stats.
Oh, they were talking about LCS? Oh.
Yeah, I think he's only played him like twice this split. And
well, yeah, he gets insta-banned.
Yeah.
But
I think that game... sorry, go
for
ahead. I was going to say that I think that game did a lot for EG's psyche. Like, they had to get something fun like that out of the way, just like to get nerves over and done with, because like throughout this entire split, like they've been like kind of like fighting from down under and having like one of these like fun games where they can just like mess around and do what they want to do is going to do well for them in the playoffs.
Anyone care to expand?
Well, yeah, the thing for me is that EG this week went, I think, 4-1, dropping only 1 game to Gambit in the actual matches, and then after doing that, they then went 2-3, I think, and they went 2-3 in the tiebreakers, or 2-1, losing only to Fnatic. So EG, like we said last week, was going to bounce back, and they did very well. They came in strong this week. The only game they dropped was actually to Gambit in the actual Super Week, and then they didn't lose any games to Gambit in the tiebreaker matches. So they definitely know what they're doing, and I'm glad to see that CLG EU/EG is back doing well. I just don't know if they can continue that into playoffs and into World Finals, or the road to World Finals.
Why? Do you not think they have the natural advantage being the most experienced team in EU outside of M5, who's still in the middle of roster shakeups?
I just don't know. I feel they're very much like a Dignitas team, where they are very good some weeks and then not so good other weeks. And I'm worried that that's going to bite them again, where they're going to show up and it's going to be another one of those weeks where they like lose the first 2 games and then go on tilt hard, which would be a big downer.
Right. No, I just think it'll be interesting to see like the newer teams in the EU LCS stacking up against them now that it's like it's not just like a regular season situation anymore. It's more of a tournament playoff atmosphere, something that like Moscow 5, aka Gambit, and EG, aka CLGU, have been used to because they've been doing it for 2+ years now.
Is there any final thoughts on this before we switch subjects and go on to? I don't even want to say the title of the next topic because it's just.
Hey, that was all Mango, not me.
Way to go,
What?
That was
Mango.
all, man.
I didn't
Please
type
do.
it. I just
Please
say it.
do.
I don't even type
Please
it.
do.
I think it was Charlie. I think it's Charlie's fault.
I think it's Charlie's fault.
I think
Yeah,
Charlie
it was
should
probably
say it.
Charlie.
Just because I coined it doesn't mean I have to
definitely-
say it.
Please, it's appropriate.
It is
Yeah, no, you
not.
could say it.
Yeah, you say it, Charlie. Charlie, what's the title of the next segment?
All right, the next segment is Kimchi League.
Oh my god.
God, no, I didn't
For
think
those
you
who
would
doesn't
actually
know.
do it.
Oh man.
Charlie, please.
All right. So who wants to take the reins on this topic then? Charlie.
All right, there's 2 quarterfinals to cover, which is SKT versus Junior Falcons, and then CTU versus MVP Ozone. What I'm reading right here is Faker disrespecting bitches.
Don't disrespect bitches. Is
Yeah.
what's first rule of Kimchi League, to not disrespect bitches.
Oh.
Oh my lord.
All right, we're gonna go back to OGN.
Oh God.
Yeah, we're gonna go change it to OGN. Can we please? I feel just terrible.
I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm
Not
actually gonna
doing
type this OGN League because Jesus. Let's have Adrian Do Taco League next. Oh my god.
Is that because
Taco.
I'm Hispanic? Oh my god, this is.
Taco League, so good. Oh man. So while we're being offensive to everyone, so boring pub stomp shit. Let's go. MVP Ozone versus.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, the first game, Faker played Oriana versus Reward Zed. The reason we said it was disrespectful was because he built MR against Zed and still doubled his CS. That just shows like he's on a different level.
Damn.
It was just an unfair game. Yeah, it was ridiculous. It was pretty bad.
Yeah, because normally when you're against the Zed in lane, like, and you're squishy AV caster like Oriana, you're probably going to get insta-gib fairly soon. But he didn't even, like, start off with a Cloth5 or, like, Russia Seeker's arm guard or anything. He just, like, went straight up AP and just dumped on everybody. It was pretty sad.
Yeah, it was a Chalice first against the Zed. It was pretty ridiculous.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Pretty sure he was up like 50 CS at like
Yeah, it
15
was-
minutes or something too. Like it wasn't even fair. It was just absolute dominance. Like I haven't
one-
seen anything really like that in a pro league in a long time.
At one point, it was like 115 to like 65 CS, something like that.
Oh,
It was-
Wow.
It was pretty bad.
Holy.
it was brutal.
That's.
Yeah, from,
Wow.
like, the first, like, 15 minutes of this game, you knew how the series was going to go. Just
Yeah,
because...
I remember
Like-
Doa even said after the first game, like, this looks like to be a 3-0.
And so, like, going off of that, how do you think that, like, Reaper's doing in the jungle so far? Because it's been, like, a new role for him this season. Charlie?
Alright, sorry, say that again?
Oh, yeah, I was just asking, like, you about, like, your opinion on Reaper in the jungle so far for this season.
It's like, it doesn't matter where he is. If you shut down Reaper, you shut down Falcons, pretty much. Because he's a shot caller, he does everything for the team, he makes all the decisions.
Mhm.
And I don't think jungle was the best choice. I think if he really wanted to carry his team, he should play mid. And play high assassin, high damage, high roaming champions to snowball his team in the early game.
So, like,
But, like-
taking on Faker's
Yeah.
role?
Yeah, pretty much. Like he did that with Lee Sin in the early game. Whatever in the early season, whatever he will play Lee Sin and just dominate the early game with double Dorans. But they ban Lee Sin against every time, and ever since that, I don't see him being too viable in the jungle.
Are we sure that having someone being the absolute #1 shot caller, no other input in the team is really the way to go after we take a look at TSM and Reginald? Because that, if I didn't know any better, I would say you're talking about Reginald when you're just like, okay, just have a high mobility, high damage assassin mid who does all the shot calling and all the playmaking, and then everyone else can just help if they feel like it. But they have to listen to him in the process. Is that really a way to go about it, you think?
Well,
Isn't that
we
what
don't know.
Flame does, though?
Well,
Isn't
he
Flame
just-
kind of
Flame just
considered the
carries
top
his
lane?
team.
Yeah,
Like-
isn't he kind of considered like the carry? Like, so it would be
Well-
kind of the same thing that mid lane.
He's
does,
considered a
or-
carry, but he's not, like, the sole shot caller.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Like,
there's
even-
a big difference.
There's games been where even Flame does well, Blades doesn't win. Like Flame and Ambition needs to do well. Yeah.
Right.
Like for a team, you need to have a player that can make plays, and most of the time is a jungler. I mean, that's why Reaper moves to jungle, because he feels like it's much easier to carry from jungle. But from what we've seen, it's not always been as successful.
Yeah, I think he
Right.
would be more successful being in the mid lane because right now that seems to be like the most impactful position in the like current meta. Like mid lane and jungle, those are the two positions that like really can change the flow of the game really easily.
Mhm.
And as far as like him micromanaging like all the players on his team, I know for sure that he did that in the first iteration of SKT1 back in like
Okay.
IEM. But
He
as
did.
far as how's it going right now, like there hasn't been much like press like detailing how he's like treating his team at the moment. I mean, he might have more trust for them now since it's been a couple of months. But I don't think it's him like calling everything 100%. I know that he's like the general like tactician of the team, but I don't think he's micromanaging them as much anymore.
Well, the first comp the Falcons played was pretty weird. It was Kog'Maw with Ezreal mid, and it was Nunu, right? Like it was
Yeah.
a double AD push comp. It wasn't a terrible comp, but I just felt like there was no protection for Kog'Maw whatsoever. Like Kog'Maw was just gonna melee lane and sell the game, and that's basically what happened. But I still think the biggest problem is Faker outclassing Roar so much. That just made him useless the entire game.
Yeah, and plus, if you're running a double 80 comp, you're not gonna want to pick Kog'Maw because he's a late scaling champ, and you need to win at like 30 minutes or less.
Yeah.
Since you need to push down towers really quickly, and so I think if they had picked something like Caitlyn or Twitch, they would have had a much easier time
Yeah.
winning that one
Caitlyn,
specific game.
the double AD comp started with Caitlyn, Ezreal, and Nunu in the jungle.
Yeah. I
And
feel
so-
like MF has a place on double AD comps as well, just because she has like such a low item requirement to be useful in team fights, like Bloodthirster Black Cleaver, and then you have like another AD to clean up after the AoE armor shred and big damage in a team fight. Like having ADs that can do stuff with low items, I think is essential for a double AD comp.
That's a good note. I agree with that.
Yeah, but the thing is with double AD comp, you're not really looking at team fight in the first place.
You're just
Right.
looking
That's
to
something
push
you
down
don't-
towers safely.
MF's
that's not
also
something
good
you
at
wanna-
shoving towers. Like she has a attack speed steroid, which is obviously
true.
good for shoving down towers.
Yeah, I think people forget like just how good she is in bullying people out of lane.
S3 Secrets GG .doc MF coming back. You heard
Well,
it here first.
I mean, she was already there for the
Oh, God,
curse of
again.
the sap bullet time.
Oh,
Yeah.
that was the best team composition ever.
I
Yo.
think I've
Amumu
seen
MF
enough
win game.
MF every game. I think I've seen enough of it. Maybe Cop will be God again. Who knows?
Oh god.
Well,
I
he
don't know, man.
started
It's
to pick
Corky
up,
played.
He started to pick up MF at the end of the split too, right? Like he
Did
played
he?
her one game.
Did he? I can't remember. He plays Caitlyn a lot, but I don't think I've seen MF with him.
He grabbed
Well-
Corky in a game against TSM.
Well, Mango, didn't he play MF like one game?
I think he did play MF one game last week. Like I'm not 100% of that, but I'm pretty sure that's not completely basis like either. I can't remember which team it was against. I can look it up.
Oh, anyways,
that's okay.
going back to Kimchi League. The biggest problem with a double 80 comp with Kog'Maw and Ezreal was that Kog'Maw support was Blitzcrank. Blitzcrank Kog'Maw is such a weird lane. It doesn't even make any sense.
It's
Well,
like
right, because
you're-
you have a late game scaling champion with an early game playmaker. Like Blitz is there to pick off kills early by grabbing 80 carry or support or something, and grabbing kills with like a high early game damage champion like an MF or something.
Yeah, exactly. You won't be able to burst them if you grab someone, but Kog'Maw does not have the ability to do that early game. Not at all. That's why the pick was so confusing to me.
and
To
also
most
because
people, actually.
if you're doing double 80 comp, you want a support that has really good disengage. Blitz is
Yeah.
probably the worst in terms of that. He won't provide you any utility at all. I mean, Blitz is really useful if you want to dominate your lane or if you want to proceed with like a pick composition. And double 80 is like the exact opposite of that.
Like the first game SKT1 actually played in the season was with Nami, Caitlyn, and Ezreal mid, and Nunu jungle. That was a perfect comp for double AD tower push.
Yeah.
Because you have the disengage from
Yeah.
Nami. But the Blitzcrank just made no sense whatsoever.
Okay, so let's talk about CTU versus Ozone. Honestly, I think that
Oh, one more thing before
Oh,
we go on to
sorry.
CTU. In the last game, whenever Ro played Diana, he was so shut down, he didn't hit level 2 till 6 minutes in.
Really?
Yes, they sent him like in a 1v2 or something.
Yeah, he just got
Whoa.
dived over
She's
and over
useless
again.
until she hits level 6. Jeez.
Like- Yeah, Ari just got dived over and over again.
Wow.
And at one point, Faker was fighting her. Faker was level 6, and Ori was level 2.
Yeah, that's the thing that happened.
It was pretty ridiculous.
Yeah, that just demonstrates like how terrible that series went for the Falcons. I mean, hopefully they'll do better in NLB, but that was just a really poor showing from them.
I think
So-
they're better than that. I do.
You think they're better than what they
Yeah.
showed us so far?
I have faith in Reaper.
Yeah.
It was always next season.
I think they just ran into the wrong team at the wrong time.
Well,
'Cause
not
the
really,
CTU
because it's gonna be Worlds after this, so there is really
Oh.
no next season till winter.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I mean. After Worlds, that's next season. That's why there's always next season.
I guess.
So we have a question from a viewer. Just a question for the podcast. Predictions on who will come out on as top 4 in Worlds. Anybody have any? We're moving on to the next subject actually after this to discuss Gamescom and then the playoffs. So top 4 for Worlds. Anybody? Any predictions? Sorry to cut off you, Adrian, but go ahead.
Oh, well, top 4 for Worlds, what does he mean? Like for each region? Like from one
No, I
from
think he means
Van-
like finish. Like what's
Yeah,
gonna be
like
the top 4 at the
after
end.
grand finals, like top 4.
Who's gonna win and who's gonna be second, third, fourth?
Huh.
All y'all predictions.
Okay, let's just go on a line then. Why don't you start, Mango?
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
The glasses.
Honestly, okay. So, as much as it pains me to say, I think Ozone's gonna take it all. Because from what I've seen in my dabbling in OGN, they are just completely dominant. It's ridiculous.
Kimchi League.
Like Ozone
Yeah, he's
won.
the only one that can say that.
Ozone won. STK is also really strong. And then, SKT. Yeah, that's them.
Please.
Like-
I think Vulcan will be third or fourth.
I would
Like, I
love to see an NA team show up.
The Dark Horse Vulcan, and then I'm just gonna throw it out there, and I think CLG will finally realize their potential with the help of Monte Cristo and being in the top 4 as well, either third or fourth. I don't think they can win it, but I think 2 NA in top 4 is very possible.
Really?
I think NA will be either better than EU at Worlds or equal to. So at that point, it becomes a toss-up. But I see first, I see SKT1. No offense to Ozone, I just think SKT1 has been a stronger team. I think Faker is going to be a better pick than what Ozo can offer. I think second will be Ozone because it's Ozone. I think third will be. I just don't know if the team can match it. I'm going to get hate for this. I think third will be Cloud9 because
I
of the
agree.
fact that I don't know if any team can match their playstyle outside of Korea. I don't even think EU has a team as dominant as a Cloud9 playstyle. And I think fourth is going to be a toss-up between either one of the top EU teams, like a Fnatic or an EG, or like a Vulcan.
Okay, I'm gonna go and then Charlie can go because I think we might have the same thoughts about this.
I think I would have different thoughts about you than you, because I'm special.
Okay.
Both wrong, but okay.
I guess so. I think the team that's gonna win it is gonna be OMG from China.
Oh, damn, dude.
See, I told you. Yeah, we're thinking on the same level. Like, people just don't understand how good they are right now, and like just how dominant their players are in the LPL scene. Okay, so that's my number 1. My number 2 pick, I'm gonna go for CJ and Disfrost. I know that MVP Ozone like won last season, and they played really well in the group stages, but in this past quarterfinals, they're playing really messy. And although they did like pub stomp their way to victory, I don't think that they're gonna have the same type of results that they will in. I don't think they're gonna have the same type of results in the semifinals.
I don't think they took the series as they should have. Like they didn't take it very serious at all. Like the comps made no sense whatsoever.
Yeah. As far for third goes, I'm gonna go ahead and say I think Ozone or SKT Telecom. And then for fourth, I'm hoping, this is really like optimistic of me, I'm hoping that's going to be Vulcan as like a dark horse coming in, but I don't think that NA or EU is realistically going to finish above the top 4. Okay, Charlie, your turn.
Okay, I think the top 4 places will all be a toss-up between Ozone, SKT. Well, actually, no, I'll put Blaze over SKT because I think I'm not Blaze, sorry, Frost. Because Frost.
I was about to say.
Yeah, Frost has like the veteran expertise, which neither Ozone or SKT has. So I'll do this. I'll take Frost, Ozone, and the other 2 teams will be OMG, because they're 13-2 right now in the LPL in China, and they've been playing Korean style and with super aggressive early game, and which has been working out really well for them. And I can definitely see them beating Korean teams. And the last team, I would say, if they make it to Worlds, I'll place Taipei Snipers top 4.
Yeah, definitely.
Taipei Snipers.
I'm bad.
Yep. They're really, really good. They're like a reflection of Taipei Assassins from last season.
Yeah, and they still have Mistake playing for your support, right?
Yep. Mistakes of shot caller and everything. And all their players are super solid, and they do scrim against like Korean teams and such, and they win. They have a pretty good record.
All right. So we answered your question, Shark Chaser. That was actually a great conversation. So GamesCon is coming up. It actually starts tomorrow, I believe, no, the 22nd.
Well, the
Yes,
international qualifiers start tomorrow, and I think the actual like EU LCS playoffs, I think they start on the
23rd.
On Friday.
Yeah. So do we have any kind of predictions on how that might end up? Who we're going to see moving on and progressing? I also tossed it out to the stream too. So, please feel free to join in with who you think is going to move on from the EU qualifiers.
I think Mr. Lemon is most qualified here to talk about this bracket in particular.
Go Lemon, go!
Who's Lemon? Could you please?
I thought you meant Lemon Dogs, but I forgot.
Oh my god!
How come we're not on a
Either
deal
of
with
the
them?
above. Oh my! Because I can't. Just because of my last name, I can't be like, yo. Hey,
Have you
wanna...
tried?
No, I haven't. I guess you have a point. I haven't tried. You're right. I
Lemon
should try.
Dogs? That's actually really funny. You could totally do that.
I see. So first 2 matches are Gambit versus NIP and EG versus Alternate. I see EG beating Alternate, and the Gambit NIP game is a toss-up. NIP could show up, and their Bersin could go crazy. Totally a possibility. I just don't know, because a lot of it relies on NIP or on Bjergsen.
Why?
If he does well, we have a good game. If he doesn't, we don't. After that is going to be Lemon Dogs versus the winner of that game, and then Fnatic versus what I think will be EG. Fnatic EG is an old rivalry, and I can literally not say that either way. Fnatic beats EG on occasion, and then EG beats Fnatic as well. EG does have a positive win ratio against them, so they could win it again. But Fnatic, I believe, beat them in the tiebreakers last week, so that's a toss-up in my head. And then it's going to be Lemon Dogs versus the winner of Gambit and NIP, and I think Lemon Dogs will win that. I think Lemon Dogs is just going to... I think they have a better momentum than either Gambit or NIP. And then after that, it would be just the TBDs of Fnatic and EG versus Lemon Dogs and Gambit. And if it's EG Gambit, I have no idea. I would literally just throw my hat and be like, something. Because EG and Gambit have gone head-to-head now 3 or 4 times.
Yep.
And it's consistently back and forth.
It is consistently back and forth. I think it's split almost evenly, right?
You're just so close. really. Like EU just so
It
close.
is so close. It's ridiculous.
I will always put my money on the more experienced team. But EG and Gambit are both really experienced, so so I don't know.
All right. Is there any final thoughts on Gamescom or what we can expect coming up before we end this lovely charade of a podcast?
Charade.
Charade.
I have a question. So for the NA LCS playoffs,
Mhm.
who do we think is taking the grand finals? Is
Ooh.
it because
Cloud9.
I think we're all assuming that Vulcan and Cloud9 are going to be the two in that finals. I'm putting my bet on Vulcan. How about you guys?
Ah.
I believe in CLG. I believe in Monte Cristo. Believe. But I think if CLG manages to beat Cloud9, they'll be Vulcan. If not, then C9 versus Vulcan probably in the end. But like, okay, that's the game where Cloud9 lost to Vulcan. It was just level 1.
Yeah, they never
That was it.
recovered.
Yeah, it was just level 1. It wasn't like they lost for other reasons. It was just strictly because of level 1. If the level 1 doesn't happen, it would have probably gone completely different. C9 probably would have won.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I don't know about that.
Really?
Because if you remember, one of the biggest comebacks of the season was C9 against Vulcan, where Vulcan jumped out to a humongous lead against C9, and then it devolved into like a 50-minute slugfest
Yeah,
that Vulcan was able to turn around again. Like, just because C9 fell behind early doesn't mean they can't beat Vulcan. I think Vulcan just played better the second time around.
Well, to be honest, that one
Different.
game that you're talking about, Vulcan did kind of throw that one.
Yeah. Like,
So-
I remember the big throw being Mancloud going bottom on TF trying to get an inhibitor or something, and then Baron was up. And then he didn't
Yeah.
even get the inhibitor and he just died. But, I mean, that just goes to show, like, just because level 1 was bad doesn't mean C9 doesn't know how to, you know, get back from it. Just because they win all the time doesn't mean they don't know how to play from behind. Also, for my predictions, since no one else is talking, I still think C9 will take the NALCS bracket, but the other two seeds will be CLG and Vulcan. I would be
Yeah.
very surprised if it wasn't those three going out from NA at this point.
Yeah,
And no one
me
else really
too.
shows the fire from it. Like, it'll be C9, Vulcan, CLG, and then you'll have like Curse fourth because they always come in fourth, and then Ding Toss fifth, and then TSM's going to relegations. That's what you heard it here first. That's what's gonna be.
TSM.
TSM relegation.
So we have another question from the stream. One more question for the podcast. The out of the box plays in the EU LCS opinions and thoughts. Out of the box plays. Anybody?
Was he talking about the Crepo and Nivea game?
Well, I'm sure.
Or in general,
In general.
Tabs,
Like
tabs
the
fizz.
like Karma, Jungle, stuff like that.
Yeah, out of the box plays.
I think in the C region, like GPL, they do things like that all the time. Like I remember last season they played AD Thresh mid, Vigor support. Just over the weekend where we saw the C qualifiers, they brought Olaf top again. Like things like that, they always try to have the element of surprise. I think that's what Yu's doing, trying to do the same. It's forcing your opponents to react, and if they react the wrong way, you just win.
Yeah, that's actually a really great tactic I was noticing during MLG where they would pull out champions that aren't really you're used to seeing in competitive, and it really throws the other team for a loop because they get kind of caught up in, oh god, we haven't seen this champion, and then you're scrambling to conform your comp against the new comp or the new champion, and so you're automatically at a disadvantage. So I think that's actually a delightful tactic, and I love seeing teams do that. So
But if you play with a really smart team, a really well team that can deal with it, you're pretty screwed though.
yeah, that's true.
Are there teams that can deal with it, though, is the question. I mean, these are professional teams, and there's things like Support Anivia coming out and working. So, I mean,
Well, it's true.
I don't know if it's really fair to say, like, oh, well, it might work in solo queue, but it won't work in pro games because they're pros. They won't work that way. And then it does. So, I mean, you just have to see, like, where it'll go. I mean, people thought 80 Cannon was a joke build when it was first brought out by, God, who was it? Oh,
Was it
God.
Gendra?
Was
No,
it
it
Genja?
wasn't
It was a
Genja.
European.
I know it was
Yellow?
European.
Was it Yellow Star?
No, it wasn't Yellow Star. It was. It's on the tip of my tongue. It's.
Genja has done it, yeah.
Candy
But-
Panda? Panda Candy? I
Yeah,
don't
yeah,
know
yeah,
his
Giants,
name.
Giants. That's who it was.
It was
Billiam
Giants?
was right.
Alright.
Yeah. Billiam is
It's from
right.
last split.
Oh god,
Yeah.
don't say that.
Dude, it's true. I just call it like I see it.
I'll never admit it.
Oh, Mango.
Really
One of these
shit.
days, when you get a few gray hairs, you'll just realize you gotta call it like you see it.
Let's talk about gray hairs, Mango. Ready? You want to talk about some
Oh,
gold?
hold on.
Let's go.
There was a question I saw in the chat earlier. They were
Okay.
asking about what we thought about the wild card.
Oh, the international wildcard. That's a great
Yeah,
catch. Good job.
That's happening in PAX, I believe, right?
Yes.
PAX Prime? Yeah.
I
No,
don't
the wild
think.
card. That's
Yeah.
happening at Gamescom. It's happening like in a
Gamescom?
day.
The
Oh.
international?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, Gamescom.
Okay.
Brazil is numero uno. That's my prediction. I've seen their streamers, and they seem pretty solid. So that's what I'm going with. Pain, TT Razor, whatever they're called. I think that's their name. I apologize.
I got my
wrong.
sound back.
I think that's a player. I think
Oh,
the
boy.
key. It's Keed. Keed. Is that it?
Is it?
I think it's Keed.
What?
Pain Gaming. That's what they
Pain
are.
Gaming.
It's
Oh, okay.
Ant Gaming. Keed is
Yeah,
another
TT Razor is the
Brazilian team.
player.
Turkey's gonna take it, but
I don't know. I don't think they're bad. I think they're pretty much around NA EU level, if not a little bit less. But I don't see them placing top 4 in Worlds at all.
Yeah, I mean, that would be your like Cinderella story if the international wildcard's like, hey, check it out, guys.
Well, I mean, what happened to TPA? Did anybody know who TPA was before they played in the World Finals?
No? Does anyone know who TPA is now?
ouch.
Oh, they're not even
anymore.
Ouch.
Not
kinda
anymore.
Wow, too soon,
Yeah.
dude. Too soon.
Sorry. I got my sound back, by the way. I
noticed.
somehow managed to.
That's
screw
what
up
you
my
come back
microphone.
with.
Yeah, right? Way
Yeah.
to go.
But
Hello.
I don't see something like that happen again because all the strong teams are pretty like out there.
Everyone's just gonna start playing Mordekaiser mid, and we're just gonna run around saying, wait. We're gonna win the entire season 3 world champ.
Oh God.
God.
So we're pretty much like all in agreement that Pain Gaming is taking that spot at Gamescom, right?
I think they're a very solid team. Jokes aside, I've watched their streams when they're on just to check out their players and stuff. I don't see anything like
Yeah, I
fundamentally
too.
different.
Well, I mean, like sometimes you see those challenger player play against bronze leagues, so I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, you
Yeah,
gotta
isn't
take
their
that with a grain
matchmaking
of
all
salt.
screwed up in Brazil?
I think it got fixed now, but for a while it was really
Okay.
messed up. Like challenger was queuing into like gold, bronze, silver.
And then Lion Gaming is something I keep seeing over in chat. That's a NA challenger team, right?
Line
But,
Not
Gaming?
sure.
Well, we can't really even say that Pain's gonna win because look at the C qualifiers. I mean, everybody thought that Singapore Sentinels were gonna win. They said this time was personal, and they lost. They lost to someone who wasn't even supposed to be there,
Obviously, they got baited and outsmarted.
pretty much. God, hashtag.
Oh, and by the way, Lion Gaming is technically a Latin American team, not North American.
Good
Oh,
job.
okay.
Factory Lemon.
Uh,
Good job, Lemon.
The
Yeah.
only other thing I want to touch on real fast, since I did this is gonna be a horrible segue. We did touch Siren there for a second. There is now a new team called the Huntress in EU.
Yep.
Oh
I don't know if
yeah,
you guys
have
heard about
I heard
this.
about that.
What
See,
is
guy
this?
says I'm a Huntress all the time.
Yes.
Yes.
She guys says I'm a Huntress all the time. It's like the Sirens, Team Siren, except in EU now.
Okay.
But
How do we think this is gonna go?
well, so the thing is EU's had all female teams before, but they haven't really been a big kind of force until Team Siren popped up in the NA and everyone kind of ripped them a new
Yeah.
one.
Well, the only reason we ripped them a new one is because of it. Wasn't for the video. I don't think I will even make fun of them that much. I think,
No.
oh cool, a female gamer.
I think the video kind of showed, it really kind of exposed them for what they were, and it wasn't anything based on meritocracy. Like, they weren't really decent. Like, they were okay players, but they didn't deserve the kind of respect that a professional competitive team does because they weren't on that level. So I totally like I get like woo gamers, girls, whatever, but to do that just based on the fact that you have a pair of boobs doesn't make you automatically on the same level. Like, you have to be good, and they just assumed that they could waltz in there.
Like, don't put yourself on the same level as like type A assassins in a video when you're gold.
I absolutely agree. It's all based on how good you are, like, really, and it doesn't matter about your gender. It's like just based on how good you are. So that's why the Team Siren was just laughable, because they weren't professional.
Obviously, I mean, Charlie has a pair of boobs over there, and I mean, like,
I know,
dude's
God, look
like
at that
cardboard
guy.
stick.
Charlie, please, there's kids. Charlie.
Oh my god, what am I
Charlie,
watching?
They weren't professional. They weren't in it to get better at the game.
No.
And they just made it harder for people that are actually good at games that are girls, like Hafu. Look at Hafu, for instance. She's like a high elo Diamond 1 streamer. Doesn't make a big deal about being a girl. She'll have all kinds of games. She's like Bloodline Champions Pro. She plays high elo all the time. Like, that's like a team of that. She actually has a team. Not a lot of people know that because they're not making a video to flaunt it. They're like, oh, check it out, we're all girl team. Like, they just stream every once in a while. I think their name's like Kitchen Bandits or something.
That's really funny.
Kitchen Bandits, yeah, that's pretty funny.
If you're good, you'll gain traction and following. Like, that's what I think it should be about. Like, how good you are, not about your gender. So
yeah.
But the Huntresses, back to the EU thing, I have no idea. I mean, I know they exist, but I don't know anything about them. Are they any good? Like, what's their elo? Like, where are they?
I don't know. I'm cool about that.
I've read a little bit about them. They're not as bad as Sirens. Like, they were not beat by Hotshot GG's random team with Wild Turtle playing Lee Sin and ranked 5Q.
Don't dump on Turtle's Lee Sin, for the record.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, yeah. Wild Turtle's Lee Sin was pretty decent, and Oswald's commentary is...
I was like 14-01. That was ridiculous.
That was hilarious. That was probably the best game. Anyway, so they aren't like that level. I don't know if they're as good as the EU teams. I haven't done a ton of research into them, so I don't know if anyone else here knew anything about like research into their
matchups.
Cloth5's new segment, the Huntresses, an in-depth analysis.
I don't want to do that, please.
See guys go over there going, yeah, bank, money in the bank. Pimpin' ain't easy.
Okay, back to okay. Here, I'll mention something about the Kimchi League. They every once in a while they do all-girl tournaments from all-female colleges, and they treat them as like real professional OGN players, which is really cool. Like, they play in the same booth as OGN. And it's just a big event they do for college students. It's all females.
NA's tried to do that. That was like one of the first big scandals in League of Legends that I remember. Is it was supposed to be like an all-female tournament. And I think Chowster played on his girlfriend's account in secret.
Oh, yeah.
Or something.
Yeah, potentially.
And then Hotshot covered it up, and then it was just like an absolute shitstorm for like 2 or 3 weeks. So I mean, there's been attempts for stuff like that, but I mean. That brings me back to like a Siren. It's like there's tournaments that are supposed to be girls versus girls, and then stupid shit happens that invalidates them and just makes them like a spectacle. The same thing with the Sirens. Like it could have been something positive, but instead like it's not well thought out, and then it just becomes like a media circus for people like us to discuss 6 months after the fact or whatever it is.
Yeah, if you're doing it for the reason of gaining attention and not for earning something based on your own merits, I go back again to meritocracy and why I feel it's so important. If you're doing something because of a gender, like something that you were born with, like I think that's really kind of the wrong idea to go about, especially in a competitive scene. Like, you can't just waltz into somewhere and declare yourself to be of that caliber when you're not. You'll get laughed at. So it really goes back to how decent you are. So, I think they were laughed out of a team because they're not very good. But let's circle back around to the Huntresses. They're apparently silver.
I'm seeing gold.
But they're
gold and silver and bronze.
I'm gonna call him Fierce Gold, even though it's not how you pronounce it. He says that it's more like the frag dolls, which I actually am a big fan of the Fragdals. They're kind of just this great online presence. They don't claim to be any kind of competitive all-female team, but they're around and they know their stuff and they're involved, and I think that's a great niche for female teams. If you're not going to be a competitive, team, then why push it?
I don't know.
I agree.
If they turn out to be like a Fragdolls type team that gets involved with the community and does things, not necessarily at a professional level where they're like winning world championships and stuff, but like if they end up showing up and doing like events or something, or organizing stuff or doing stuff for the community, like, hey man, I will plug Huntress every single time I hear about them, and I'll be like, yeah, they're a great team. If they show up and in 2 weeks I see another video release where someone's playing chess and kicking your ass, I'm gonna run the other direction and make jokes all the way to the bank.
Yep, exactly. Don't be anything.
That's how I'm doing it.
Yeah, totally. And I'm not saying that they can't be competitive. Like if they put in the hours at the like you see, like people in the LCS, like you see how often they game and how much they train. Like that's what it takes to actually make it as a competitive team, like a professional team. But you don't really see girls doing that very often. I'm not saying they can't, but that's what it takes, and you can't just say you're something and not put in the hours to do it.
Like, this is not about League, but in StarCraft 2, there are female professional players, and they're respected, and they play really well. Like, one of the scariest Zerg players in NA is Scarlet, and she plays amazing.
There's
and
also
no one treat her differently because she's a girl.
What's her face? Miss Spite. That's another high-level female Zerg player, if I'm correct in that.
Yeah, but like Scarlet is actually like.
Scarlet's on the pro scene, right?
She's on the pro scene. Right? Like I'm just throwing out there, like there's more than one. Like she's high level. She's not pro, but
who does Scarlet play
Master
for?
League.
I can't even think.
Isn't she Axiom?
I haven't followed StarCraft 2 in so long.
Okay.
But same thing with the Kimchi Leagues, GSL. When they have team matches, they have female players play their matches sometimes.
Okay, so with that in mind, we have now sufficiently gone off track, gotten back on track, talked about the Huntresses. I think we covered everything.
I
already know Quick is gonna murder us because I think this is like an hour and something long.
Well, Quick can sit on it. Whatever. This is great quality family entertainment right here.
I know.
Welcome.
We can make the editor do work. I don't.
You mean me? Thanks, Charlie. Thanks. Cream soda.
In a green can?
It's not green.
It's a cream color.
Yeah.
Okay. So with that in mind, I think we're wrapping up.
Yeah.
Thanks for joining us this morning, guys. All 30 of you, fantastic. Thanks for coming. It's been like a party. 3's the crowd. All our Twitter handles you can see on our overlay, so you already know where to go to follow us. Keep up to date on all the stuff that we randomly do. It's all at the bottom. Everyone point down like Mango's doing. Go, Charlie. I want to see you. Yeah.
Visual.
Adrian.
Be visual.
All right, great. So everyone knows where to find our Twitter handles. Thanks for showing up. I have, of course, been Daniel League Lemon.
Me too. I'm lonely.
I need friends. I have like 18 followers. I don't use Twitter.
You have almost as many followers as I have years in age.
Wow.
Thanks to GGLA for their sponsorship of Cloth5.com. Feel free to head over to Cloth5.com for all the information on analysis, OGN, LPL, when Charlie gets around to writing about it, and all the other interesting tidbits in the community. And I think that's it for us. So.
All right, this has been Daniel League Lamond, Charlie Lipsy, Adrian Oberon Montenegro, Rick Mango Riley, and I'm your host, Lindsay Moral Geektron. And on that note, please follow us all, like League was saying, on the Twitters and the Facebooks and all the stuffs. And we will see you all next week. Thank you so much for watching.
Thank you.